The first thing she heard after collapsing into the wrong luxury car was the sound of the doors locking automatically. Her heart froze when the stranger in the driver's seat turned around and calmly told her she was not leaving yet. In that terrifying moment, she thought she had walked into the worst mistake of her life, but she had no idea that one wrong turn after a long workday would uncover a hidden pain, change two broken lives, and teach two strangers the meaning of compassion. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, because stories like this remind us that even the most unexpected moments can lead to healing. Marissa Whitmore had spent the last 3 years building a life that looked ordinary from the outside but carried invisible battles inside. She worked as a medical assistant at a private rehabilitation center in the city, where she spent every day helping injured patients rebuild their strength. She was known for her patience, her gentle smile, and the way she remembered small details about everyone she met. But after every shift, when the building became quiet and she walked toward the parking area, she carried a loneliness she rarely admitted. Marissa had once dreamed of becoming a nurse, but life had forced her to change direction. After losing her mother to a long illness, she became responsible for taking care of family matters and supporting herself through difficult years. She had learned to survive without asking for help, believing that strength meant carrying every burden alone. That afternoon, the city was bright under the warm afternoon sun. People hurried along sidewalks, cars moved through crowded streets, and Marissa walked toward the parking area exhausted after helping several patients through painful recovery sessions. Her mind was filled with grocery lists, unpaid bills, and the hope that someday life would become easier. She saw a dark luxury sedan parked near the entrance. It looked almost identical to the vehicle she had seen many times belonging to one of the employees at the rehabilitation center. Without thinking, she opened the back door, placed her bag inside, and sat down, relieved to finally rest for a moment. But this was not the car she expected. The driver was not an employee from the center. He was a man she had never met before. His name was Everett Caldwell, a billionaire businessman known across the country for building one of the largest technology investment companies in the world. Newspapers often described him as brilliant, powerful, and impossible to understand. But behind the expensive suits, private meetings, and enormous success was a man who had spent years hiding from his own grief. Everett had arrived at the rehabilitation center that day to visit a family member receiving treatment. He rarely showed emotion in public, and most people only saw the cold businessman who made decisions worth millions of dollars without hesitation. They never saw the man who kept old photographs hidden in his office, or the person who blamed himself for a tragedy that happened years earlier. When Marissa entered his car by mistake, Everett was surprised and confused. His security team was nearby, but he stopped them from immediately reacting. Something about the exhausted woman sitting there made him pause. She looked frightened, embarrassed, and completely unaware of who he was. When the doors locked automatically, panic filled Marissa's chest. She reached for the handle and realized the vehicle had entered security mode because Everett's system detected an unfamiliar passenger. She feared the worst. Her mind raced through every warning she had ever heard about trusting strangers. Everett quickly realized how afraid she was. He saw the fear in her eyes and understood that his silence was making everything worse. The situation could have become a terrible misunderstanding, but instead of acting with anger, he noticed something else. The woman was not trying to steal anything. She was simply exhausted, overwhelmed, and clearly in the wrong place at the wrong time. He unlocked the doors and immediately allowed her to leave, but before she stepped away, he noticed her work badge had fallen from her bag. The name on it connected her to the rehabilitation center he had just visited. That small mistake could have ended there, but Everett noticed something unusual. Attached to her badge was a handwritten note with a patient's name and a reminder about a special appointment. It was a simple thing, but it revealed something about Marissa. Even while carrying her own struggles, she was still thinking about someone else. Marissa apologized repeatedly and hurried away, embarrassed by what happened. She expected never to see the stranger again. But the moment stayed with Everett. For years, people around him had treated him differently because of his wealth. They wanted something from him, feared him, or admired his success. Very few people saw him as a person. Yet this woman, who did not even know who he was, had shown more genuine humanity in a few seconds than many people had shown him in years. The following week, Everett returned to the rehabilitation center for another visit. He did not go there to find Marissa, but when he saw her helping an elderly patient walk across the room, he stopped. She was patient even though the patient was frustrated. She was encouraging even though she looked tired herself. He learned that Marissa often stayed late to help patients who had no family nearby. She donated small amounts from her paycheck to support recovery programs. She never talked about her kindness because she believed helping people should not require recognition. Everett began to question the walls he had built around himself. His wealth had allowed him to buy almost anything, but it had not given him peace. After a painful personal loss, he had convinced himself that emotions were weaknesses. He had become successful by controlling everything around him, but he had forgotten how to connect with people. Meanwhile, Marissa's life continued to become more difficult. The apartment building where she lived was sold, and she was forced to find a new place quickly. Medical expenses from her mother's final years had left her with financial pressure that never fully disappeared. She smiled at work, but privately she wondered how long she could keep pretending everything was fine. Everett discovered the rehabilitation center was struggling with funding problems. Instead of simply writing a large public donation check, he chose to quietly support the center's programs. He wanted the help to reach people without making anyone feel like they owed him anything. When Marissa discovered that the anonymous support came from Everett, she was uncomfortable. She did not want to feel like someone's charity project. She had spent her whole life fighting to stand on her own. But Everett surprised her. He did not see her as someone weak who needed saving. He saw her as someone strong who deserved support after carrying too much for too long. Over time, their connection grew through shared experiences and honest conversations. Marissa helped Everett understand that grief did not have to define the rest of his life. Everett helped Marissa understand that accepting kindness did not erase her independence. Their friendship became a reminder that people from completely different worlds could still understand each other. One had billions of dollars but felt emotionally empty. The other had very little money but carried a heart full of compassion. Months later, the rehabilitation center opened a new recovery wing funded through Everett's support. The opening ceremony took place during the day, surrounded by patients, families, and staff members who had benefited from the improvements. Marissa stood among them, seeing how many lives had changed because someone finally chose to care. Everett also changed. He became less distant, more open, and more willing to share his story. He learned that being powerful did not mean standing above others. True strength came from lifting people when they needed help. Marissa eventually continued her education and moved closer to her dream of becoming a nurse. She no longer believed that asking for support was a sign of failure. She understood that everyone, even the strongest people, sometimes needed someone to stand beside them. Years later, when people asked Everett about the most important decision he had ever made, they expected him to mention a major business deal or investment. Instead, he remembered the afternoon when a tired woman opened the wrong car door and accidentally entered his world. That mistake changed everything. Before the ending of this story, take a moment to leave a meaningful comment and share what lesson touched your heart the most. Was it the importance of forgiveness, the power of kindness, or the reminder that a single unexpected moment can change a person's life? If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Because sometimes the moments we fear the most are the moments that lead us toward the people and experiences we were meant to find. Marissa thought she had stepped into the wrong car, but in reality, she had stepped into a turning point that would heal two wounded hearts and prove that kindness can appear in the most unexpected places.